Welcome to the GCSE Geography mock exams preparation and tips for 2022. Can I just start by saying that for the mock exam series in January and February, there will be two exams which follow the OCR specification B. The third exam paper will be done nearer to the exam series in the summer, and that will be done as a class exercise. So on this occasion, we will just be doing the paper 1 and the paper 2. And as you can see on the screen, there's a breakdown of how many marks and what percentage of the final GCSE the paper 1 and the paper 2 entail. The paper 1 is 49 marks and the paper 2 is 50 marks. To break down the exams even further, there has been some changes in the exam series for this summer. The exam board, following the advice from Ofqual, has made significant changes both to paper 1 and paper 2. So the mock exams will reflect entirely those changes so that the students are well versed in preparing and being set up for the summer exams. We're going to start with the paper 1. There are 3 sections, and the section A is made up of 2 compulsory or mandatory units, which is changing climate and distinctive landscapes. The section B is the optional section, and that entails the global hazards, sustaining ecosystems and resource reliance. So students will opt for just one of those questions in section B. And then finally in section C, it is compulsory that they complete all the questions on the physical geography fieldwork, which is on rivers, and the rivers will also be reflected in the summer exam as well. The paper 2 is all compulsory. There are no option questions. Section A is topical work on urban futures, dynamic development, and UK in the 21st century. And section B is, again, fieldwork, this time the human geography fieldwork, and it is the urban section, likely to be on towns and cities. And these questions will entail more extended writing within the exam. So how best to prepare for the mock exams? All the students should have the revision guide, and that's probably the first place to go to in order to revise for each of the papers. Each of the topics on paper 1 and 2 are clearly defined in the revision guide, and I suggest that students use their exercise books, use their revision checklists to revise the specific topics which are both compulsory and the optional sections, and in particular the extended writing, which may be in the form of case studies or extended analysis, evaluation, conclusion questions. GCSE pods for Geography OCRB are also very good, and I advise students to tap into some of the resources on here which will enhance, in particular, the case studies when it comes to extended writing. And there's often a little bit more information in the GCSE pods, which is done in a really concise way, which will enable students to get those higher marks beyond what's in the revision guide. I also advise students to use the Seneca, which follows the OCR Spec B syllabus, and essentially it follows the revision guide. So if they are using the revision guide, it's often good practice to go to the quiz questions on each of the sections for paper 1 and 2. And again, it's a place to enhance foundation knowledge. In addition, you have the BBC Bite Size, which has a section on OCR for both paper 1 and 2. And again, there's lots of quizzes at the end of each of the sections. But in addition to that, I advise students to create their own revision materials. Flashcards, particularly for case studies, key questions, key information, which is concise on the back. And they can practice the questions and the content of each of those case studies and repeat those actions regularly. Creating mind maps is often a good way of revising geography, particularly with big topics. For example, on paper 2, Urban Futures, you have 2 large case studies on London and Lagos, and on the dynamic development, you have a large case study on the Democratic Republic of Congo. And often it's good to map out the key learning for each of those case studies so they can learn the key points, which is fundamental to writing extended answers. I certainly encourage dual coding, storyboards to enhance learning so that students are able to make connections with images, things that are easy to remember in learning core knowledge. Mnemonics, again, there's opportunities for that throughout the course on paper 1 and 2. An example might be that when learning some of the emerging developing countries which are advancing very quickly. So you've got the BRIC countries, you've got the MINT countries, and students should be aware of how they can apply the letters to remember some of those countries. Students have had workbooks throughout Year 9, Year 10 and Year 11 which complement the classwork. I encourage the students to use those books where you've got key vocabulary, you've got activities, and you've often got extended work and notes that I've provided to enable students to revise thoroughly. And finally, quizzes. I encourage quizzes throughout the learning. Create your own quizzes, use it as a memory task, and any other methods which will enable you to revise thoroughly. If you need any advice, please don't hesitate to contact me at school. Thank you and goodbye.